For all, I think the top reason that stands out for me, I saw politicians as kind of like unapproachable celebrities. But for him, he's a very good listener and someone who's open to, supporting the youth, someone with a strong moral ground, which I feel is fading nowadays. And I think those are what stand out for me toply.
For me, for Al, I told Al this when I last nominated him in 2017. In 2013, I actually didn't vote for Al, but actually by getting to know him better and with his first term, seeing the policies he brought forward, just seeing him as as a leader and stuff, I was encouraged by his first term, and I supported him in the last election. This time around, even seeing him, perform in the last 4 years again, where he's even more polished. As my daughter said, Al, stands for moral beliefs, which is very strong to me and my family. The fact that he's even said it publicly that, he's doing law school, not just for him, but to be a better leader, better politician for this nation stands out to me. Just seeing the different motions that he's brought forward says a lot about his character and what he believes in terms of, as a nation and for Caymanians, what needs to be done for this nation. So that's why I support him. He has the experience, he has the moral grounding, and like he said, he believes in the youth, the next generation, and really that's what it's about, building for the future. So that's why I support Al.
Thank you.
I'm Richard Christian, and I endorse this.
I support Alva Suku because he's supportive, he's responsive. The people's issues are his issues. He takes them very personally. He doesn't only concern himself with issues that the Newlands community face, but the wider community in general, you know, just everyone that lives in the Cayman Islands. When I attended his first meeting on Saturday, just listening to the ideas and just things that he would like to get done, you know, I know he has the right experience and he is the right choice. He's the best choice.
Hi, this is journalist Kayla Young with the Cayman Compass. We're standing on the beach between Prospect and Spots where the Costa Luminosa cruise ship is anchored just offshore. The ship encountered problems earlier in Ocho Rios, Jamaica over its Italian passengers and fear of coronavirus.
As I'm sure everyone is painfully aware, the entire world is grappling with COVID-19, the virus that is killing thousands of people and crippling economies around the world. Pleased to be with you today to bring some good news regarding government's national vaccination program. As a country, we have done extremely well with the vaccine rollout, and we can all be very proud of this. There have been nearly 320 million COVID-19 vaccinations given around the world. I can further report that some 31% of our population of around 65,000 people have received at least one dose, and 15% have had a full course. I'm extremely pleased to also announce that we have reached a much anticipated milestone in the delivery of our program, in that we have now vaccinated well over 91% of those in our population over the age of 60. I am able to announce today that from the 22nd of March, the required quarantine period will be reduced from 14 to 10 days for those who have completed a valid vaccination program at least 2 weeks before traveling to the Cayman Islands, provided that everyone in their quarantine group has also been vaccinated. Other requirements are that a traveler must provide a negative PCR test that was taken no more than 72 hours prior to departure. A negative PCR test is also completed when arriving on island, and the traveler is staying in a group where all people have received a full course of the vaccination. And that to be released from quarantine, the traveler must receive a negative PCR test.
For all, I think the top reason that stands out for me, I saw politicians as kind of like unapproachable celebrities, but for him, he's a very good listener and someone who's open to supporting the youth, someone with a strong moral ground, which I feel is fading nowadays, and I think those are what stand out for me toply.
For me, for Al, I told Al this when I last nominated him in 2017. In 2013, I actually didn't vote for Al, but actually by getting to know him better and with his first term, seeing the policies he brought forward, just seeing him as as a leader and stuff, I was encouraged by his first term, and I supported him in the last election. This time around, even seeing him, perform in the last 4 years again, where he's even more polished. As my daughter said, Al, stands for moral beliefs, which is very strong to me and my family. The fact that he's even said it publicly that, he's doing law school, not just for him, but to be a better leader, better politician for this nation stands out to me. Just seeing the different motions that he's brought forward says a lot about his character and what he believes in terms of, as a nation and for Caymanians, what needs to be done for this nation. So that's why I support him. He has the experience, he has the moral grounding, and like he said, he believes in the youth, the next generation, and really that's what it's about. Building for the future. So that's why I support Al.
Thank you.
I'm Richard Christian, and I endorse this.
I support Alva Suku because he's supportive, he's responsive. The people's issues are his issues. He takes them very personally. He doesn't only concern himself with issues that the Newlands community face, but the wider community in general, just everyone that lives in the Cayman Islands. When I attended his first meeting on Saturday, just listening to the ideas and just things that he would like to get done, I know he has the right experience and he is the right choice. He's the best choice.
Hi, this is journalist Kayla Young with the Cayman Compass. We're standing on the beach between Prospect and Spots where the Costa Luminosa cruise ship is anchored just offshore. The ship encountered problems earlier in Ocho Rios, Jamaica over its Italian passengers and fear of coronavirus.
As I'm sure everyone is painfully aware, the entire world is grappling with COVID-19, the virus that is killing thousands of people and crippling economies around the world. Pleased to be with you today to bring some good news regarding government's national vaccination program. As a country, we have done extremely well with the vaccine rollout, and we can all be very proud of this. There have been nearly 320 million COVID-19 vaccinations given around the world. I can further report that some 31% of our population of around 65,000 people have received at least one dose, and 15% have had a full course. I'm extremely pleased to also announce that we have reached a much anticipated milestone in the delivery of our program, in that we have now vaccinated well over 91% of those in our population over the age of 60. I am able to announce today that from the 22nd of March, the required quarantine period will be reduced from 14 to 10 days for those who have completed a valid vaccination program at least 2 weeks before traveling to the Cayman Islands, provided that everyone in their quarantine group has also been vaccinated. Other requirements are that a traveler must provide a negative PCR test that was taken no more than 72 hours prior to departure, A negative PCR test is also completed when arriving on island, and the traveler is staying in a group where all people have received a full course of the vaccination. And that to be released from quarantine, the traveler must receive a negative PCR test.
I support Alva Suku because he's supportive, he's responsive. The people's issues are his issues. He takes them very personally. He doesn't only concern himself with issues that the Newlands community face, but the wider community in general, you know, just everyone that lives in the Cayman Islands. When I attended his first meeting on Saturday, just listening to the ideas and just things that he would like to get done, you know, I know he has the right experience and he is the right choice. He's the best choice.
A long time since I've campaigned in Newlands. Due to calls, so I had to come down to help my people here tonight. I want to thank you all for coming out to this very important meeting. I don't want you to think that there's going to be an bashing, but we have to let you know who is the best candidate for Newlands. So during the course of the meeting, we will have to do some comparison to let you know why Al Saku is the best choice. Without a doubt, I wouldn't be here tonight if I didn't feel so. Al has joined the alliance, so when he's elected, he can do for the people of Newlands. He won't be sitting in the northeast corner like Jay told Ezra and doing nothing. He will get something done. That's another story. We campaign in Newlands tonight. At this point in time, I'd like to ask Mrs. Gina Howard to bless the meeting. Ms. Gina.
Good night, Newlands. What some beautiful people I can see from up here. I'm honored to be here tonight, bringing these blessings to these leaders that are here standing behind me. So there is an honor to be in the presence of the Lord. I'm going to read from the book of Romans 13:1. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authority that exists are appointed by God. In other words, these leaders that are here, they're being appointed by God. And when they be elected again, they will be appointed by God again. So God have the last say. So everybody say, amen. Father, we want to thank you this evening, Lord. You can all stand if you like, or you can sit. Father, we want to thank you this evening that you made it possible that we all here gather together, Lord, under your voice, under your authority, under your will. Father, we ask that each and every one that hear, that they would be subject to what your word is saying, Father. That we must submit to our authorities, that we must submit to the leaders that you had appointed, Father, that they will be the ones that lead us in the direction that you will, Lord. Father, we ask that your will be done. Father, for each and every one of these leaders that are here standing, we ask that you will give them the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding to do things according to your will and not their own. Father, that not will be deceived by the evil one, but they'll continue in your path of righteousness. Lord, we've been in a bubble. You have kept us safe. You have kept us protected. You have kept us guided, Lord. Father, continue to keep us in that way with this leadership that has continued to protect this nation. Father, we pray, Lord, right now, and we submit these supplications to you, Lord, to your counsel. Father, we ask that you will continue to keep us in this way, that other nations will see us and be jealous of this Cayman Islands, Lord, and will say, which God do you serve? Father, because we serve a God that had kept us this whole entire time, that had kept us safe and had kept us prosperous, Lord. So for that, we give you all the honor and we give you all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gina. What a wonderful Cayman Islands we have. Safe without any mass. What a wonderful Cayman Islands we have with the leadership that we have. Why should we change it? Let's get some more men and women that can lead us in the same direction that Honorable Premier did in the last 8 years. As we look at the news, we see the tragedies. We see the world in turmoil. And we may take this for granted, but tonight, no mas. What a blessing we have. What a blessing we have. True leadership, good leadership, steering a good ship. I want to touch a bit on those that are competing for the seat against Mr. Alva Saku. And I have to tell you, because we have to have the best choice. We have to have the best choice. And I want to brush up Mr. Carter a little bit, because he's a lace of worries. Mr. Carter, you know me, Tony Powell. You know we were very good. South Coast Bar and Grill that you tried to close 4 times. And you're trying to represent the people of Newlands? Right in your back door in Georgetown, when they were building the airport. All the cars that they could sell food out, they were selling food. But you came to Breakers to try to close me down. I'm still open. Many have closed around me. I'm going to be there for a little time. I don't have no overdraft. And we have a little money in the bank. But you wants to be a public servant now. Again, when you failed before. When you failed before, you couldn't manage 100 people. How you expect to manage a country? You run your budget over by $2.5 million with 100 people. How you expect to run a country with 60,000? I don't want to say much about you because you're not that important. But if you couldn't run a garbage dump, how are you going to run the Cayman Islands? Tell me that. This is serious business. This is serious business. And there's no space in here for you. And I'll bet you a case of beer you don't get your money back because you're not going to get 10% of the vote. And don't invest in a suit unless one of these invite you to the LA, because again, it's a bad investment. You know, if you take care of your people will take care of you. And Mr. Roy Carter, I took care of the Caymanian people. That's why they take care of South Coast today. But you didn't want to take care of me. You wanted to shut me down. Oh, you want to run for government again for? To close down more Caymanian restaurants? Is that what you want to run for? I went in your office and there wasn't one piece of paper on your desk. That's the cleanest desk I've ever seen in my 50 years. You must have sent all your paper to the garbage dump. You should be a public servant to help the people of the Cayman Islands, and then you can run for politics. Not try to run Caymanian businesses out of business. That's what you should be. At this point, I finished with him, done with him. I'd like to introduce Mr. Vincent Frederick. I knew Vincent around Barton Town on different sides of the politics. And then 3 years ago, he was appointed as the director of the National Housing Trust. Northwood, I want to let you know something. From time Mr. Frederick foot hit the ground at National Housing Trust, he never stopped running. He has never stopped running. He has done a tremendous job at the National Housing Trust. As a matter of fact, I'm a bit saddened that he's running for politics and I miss him. But I can tell you one thing, that man worked every day. He challenged contractors, he challenged people that gave us estimates, he got the best price for the National Housing Trust. Vincent, well done. I am going to miss you. This is bittersweet, but I hope, and when you get elected, that you take care of the much needed housing that we need here in the Cayman Islands. Now, Mr. Vincent, I want to hand the mic over to you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Vincent Frederick, the next representative for Barton West. Get up. Don't give up the fight, ladies and gentlemen. Never give up. Greetings and good night, Newlands. And good night, Cayman. It's a beautiful night in paradise, isn't it? Thank you all for attending. It's amazing, very amazing to see so many beautiful faces here tonight. Special greetings to all the people listening on social media and on Radio Cayman. Whether you are in your homes or in your cars or still at work, these meetings are very important because it introduces you to your candidates. But we must always give grace to God, for He is the great one. For He is that one that makes all things possible. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we have been waiting for. Unity, loyalty, stability, strength, and leadership. Many of you know me, many of you may not. But I am humbled to be a part of this strong alliance. And with God's mercy, I intend to be the next MP for Barton West. I am humbled again to be here tonight, and not to ask for just my support, but for the support for the entire alliance. They deserve it. Remember to vote straight for the members of this alliance. Let's ensure that these beautiful Cayman Islands continue moving forward with smart, cautious, stable, and proven leadership. Tonight, I want you to listen to what I have to say, to listen to me as I introduce my plans to you, the people. My vision is your vision. When I made my manifesto, I tell them, this is not my manifesto. This is the people's manifesto. Everything that is in my manifesto came straight from the people in Barton West. This is the people's manifesto. So I want you to stay with me as I read a good word from the Bible, 1 Corinthians 15, verse 58. Therefore, my beloved brothers, be steadfast, immovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that in the Lord your labor is not in vain. For these are the words of thy God. Amen. And I want you to remember that neither your votes will be in vain. So vote for the alliance and vote good, strong leadership back into power, and let's sail these beautiful Cayman Islands forward for another 4 years. Remember, it is outstanding citizens like you guys that makes the difference. It is you that have to make up your minds on your lives to make your country a better place. So on April the 14th, do not forget who you have to vote for. Do not be strayed. Do not be blinded. Do not be fooled. It has to be the alliance. The main reason I am on stage tonight is because of you, the people. You, the people, it is your time. I had many people reaching out to me to run for office. I almost did it
the last 4 years, but my good friend, Mr. Seymour, came calling and said must assist him, and I did. And guess what? By assisting Mr. Seymour, I ensured that we had one of the best health ministers that we have ever seen in this country. That is how teamwork operates, ladies and gentlemen. One hand helps the other hand. If one can't do it, the other hand helps the other hand down the line. We must be able to assist our people in times of need. And today, I can tell you that this alliance have you, the Cayman Islands people, at heart. They have you in their minds, they have you in their soul, and they intend to be your leaders for the next 4 years. Failure is not an excuse. It's exactly what it means, failure. Let me explain a little bit. 4 years of voting for Era's first single member of parliament. And what did Bontown West get? Nothing. That's failure. Folks, 4 years of disengaging and avoiding your constituents, again, that's failure. My good people, I don't need to tell you about my opponent. You already know of him. I am not here tonight to criticize or to get in mudslinging. It gets us nowhere, as we already had 4 years of getting nowhere in Bontown West. What I can tell you about, though, is my plans for Bontown West and for this country. I plan to discuss national issues and focus on how we as an alliance can start tackling many of the issues that are affecting our people. As a member of this alliance, I couldn't ask for no two better candidates as my colleagues from Bontown. Along with them and the PPM-led administration, we will work to heal this country and make the lives of everyone in Cayman a better place for us all. I promise you, the people, I promise you that I don't come on stage just to talk. I come to get the work of the people done in the manner I was elected in office for. If I get elected, ladies and gentlemen, I have no excuses neither if I don't get the work done. If you see I get elected and I'm not doing my job, vote me out. We need unity, and we need trust, and we need simple understanding. We need teamwork, empathy, and most of all, we just need the will as politicians to work for all of these people in both Little Cayman, Cayman Brac, and Grand Cayman. It don't take much to do that. I want you to understand that the opposition does have a place in this country. It has its rightful place, and it plays its role in oversight in keeping the government in check. However, I have seen members in the opposition, ladies and gentlemen, I have seen them dicing and slicing, slipping and sliding. I'm telling you, and after 4 years, nothing to show on their resumes upon expiry of their contracts with the people. Now you tell me, do you want them back into the House? I cannot stress how important it is, ladies and gentlemen, to vote for the alliance candidates who are willing to engage with the government and to progress forward with steady and proven leadership. I am asking you to help yourselves, to help your constituencies, and to help your country by voting for Vincent Frederick, Dwayne Seymour, Mr. Alva Saku, Mr. Roy McTaggart, and our Premier, Mr. Alden McLaughlin. And don't forget the rest of the alliance members that are not here tonight, because we need them all. All for one and one for all. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you to think hard this election. Think hard about the way forward and the disease that is still out there. Many keep asking the question, how, when, how, and why are we going to open our borders? I'm not a scientist and I'm not a doctor. I'm just a regular citizen like yourselves, but I do have common sense. And common sense is sometimes the only little thing that we need to run a country. They asked, when are we going to open our borders? I answered, to who? There are other countries around us are shutting down. So who are we opening our borders to? I still haven't gotten an answer yet. So that's a little bit of common sense. We have a lot of things to get done, ladies and gentlemen. We have a national manifesto launch on Saturday, and I expect to see every one of you there on Saturday night. I will work with the government to identify a lot of solutions that is affecting the country. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to close by saying that there is a systematic breakdown of family life in these islands. And it goes back, way back into the days when we started expanding at a fast rate. The people were forgotten. It is time to draw the curtains, pull back the gears, and start back from the beginning, and let's include the people going forward. I cannot ask and I cannot wave a magic wand, but I intend to engage with all members of this alliance that is willing to work for the youths, the working, hard-working Caymanians, and for our elders. Ladies and gentlemen, I intend to be the leader behind that, and I intend to work with the Premier, our future Premier, Mr. Roy McTaggart. Ladies and gentlemen, give him a hand. He's a very hard-working man. He intends to move this country forward on the same track that we have been moving, and I will be there to help push it along. Ladies and gentlemen, may God bless these beautiful Cayman Islands, and may you all enjoy your night. Be sure the alliance is here, and we're here to stay. Thank you. Get up, stand up.
You certainly stand up for your rights. And I can tell you that if you elect Vincent Frederick to Bordentown West, you're going to have a good working man. His 3 years with me has proven it. He's a good man, and you should give him your X. But we're dealing with Newland Strickland tonight. The right experience and the best choice. Alva Saku, number 4 on the ballot. Alva Saku, number 4 on the ballot. Alva Saku, number 4 on the ballot. We want to touch up on some of his other challenges. Mr. Wayne Panton. He brought the National Conservation Law to the LA, and he got it passed. In that law, he gave the chairman of the National Conservation Law the full authority to make decisions. Now, I'm a chairman of a little 2x4 board housing. And the National Conservation Law affects the development in these islands. And we have heard rumors that one road can't be built because it's a woodpecker nest? We'd heard rumors that one road can't be built because it's a parrot nest. He can't fly over. When I was a boy, when we took out the parrot, the next year he laid in another tree. How important is development to any striving economy? And right now we can see it. If it was not for construction, we would be on our knees. Ask Noel Bodden, ask Mr. Creighton and all of them, ask McAlpine, ask you the people how important is development in this country. Because when they get paid, it has a domino effect on the supermarkets, the gas stations, the mom and pop stores, the restaurants, the clothing stores, everything. So when development comes to a halt, your country comes to a halt. Whether it's COVID-19 or not, you have to rebuild, you have to refurbish, and you have to have new construction. I don't care how much bankers you are. I was one 20 years. If you don't have no development, there's no money to count. If you don't have no development, there's no lawyers because there's no disputes. But you're going to give the chairman, which is my friend, has nothing to do with him personally, the full authority that every plan that goes to the planning department has to go through him or her. We have enough red tape down by planning now. You got about 12 inspections before you can get one foul coop bill. And he's going to bring the conservation law to slow down this economy. Is that the person you want to put back inside there? Tell him no on April the 14th. That the parrots can fly and the woodpeckers can be moved. I love birds. I love dogs. I like wildlife. But there must be a balance. There must be a balance. So you tell him you are not voting for him because he won't move the woodpecker nest. Those are reasons why you should vote for number 4, Mr. Alva Saku. And they have a little whisper going around the place about Alva didn't do anything. He can tell you about that. But he didn't do anything to harm the development of the Cayman Islands. And when he gets in this time and be part of the government, he will show you what he can do. The right experience and your best choice, Mr. Alva Saku, number 4 for Newlands. Don't forget it, Alva Saku, number 4, Alva Saku, number 4. Our next speaker this afternoon, Mr. Roy McTaggart, my good friend, the man with the numbers. He can count 2 and 2 is 4. Roy is a good man. He's genuine. His representation is good. Roy grew up in True Road, the son of Uncle Bill McTaggart and Carleen McTaggart. He was educated in our local high school and obtained his certificate of public accountant qualification overseas. He had a very successful career, spanning almost 30 years with KPMG. The last as managing partner. While there, Roy contributed to the community in many ways, including 4 years as chairman for Cayman Airways, our national bird, 8 years with the Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce, including 2 years as president, 3 years with the Commission of Standards in Public Life, and 14 years as the director of Young Caymanian Leadership Foundation. The last 6 years as chairman. He retired from the firm in 2012 to pursue election to public office. In his first term as MLA, Roy served as counsel to the Minister of Finance and Economic Development, Minister of Financial Services, Commerce and Environment, Minister of Health and Culture, He also chaired the Public Accounts Committee and was a member of the Legislative Oversight Committee for the Office of Complaints Commissioner. Since 2017, Roy has served as the Minister of Finance and Economic Development. He's continued the work he began in 2013 to transform the national finances, bringing government finances in compliance with the financial tests set out in the Public Management and Financial Law. Control government spending to bring back consistent budget surplus while delivering on paying down debt and not raising any taxes and fees. Not raising any taxes and fees. Roy is married and has 3 grown children: Jessica, Jody, Jamie, Lauren. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, the Honorable Mr. Roy McTaggart. Mr. Roy.
What a delight to be here with you this evening. Good evening, Newlands. Better than that. Good evening, Newlands. Good. Now let me hear it even louder. Good evening, Bodden Town. Right. Great to be with you this evening, and may I add my welcome and gratitude to all of our audience for coming out or tuning in to support the Alliance members representing Newlands and the beautiful district of Bodden Town. Let me hear it from the cars. Let me hear your horns. Boy, that sounds like real music to my ears. But you know, you all look beautiful tonight too. You know, all the different colors. I see the white, I see the yellow, I see the red, I see the blue. Wonderful. I see all the Alliance shirts too. So glad to know that you are here this evening with us. My constituents in Georgetown East have asked me to tell you that the Alliance is not only the best choice for Cayman, it is the only sensible choice. You agree? We have a proven track record, experience in sound economic management and in adhering to public health principles and keeping the country safe during the worst health crisis of our lifetime. Newlands and Bodden Town, there is simply no better choice than the Alliance team. I agree wholeheartedly with my constituents, and I trust that those of you gathered here or listening in tonight share their views and my pride and confidence in having worked with them. Say amen? Great. The efforts and at times tough decisions that had to be made by the Progressives-led government guided Cayman through the worst of the COVID-19 pandemic in excellent shape with no Caymanian lives lost. COVID-free and a government incurring no new debt. Our priority was and is to keep our people safe and our economy as stable as possible. With your help, a new Alliance government will eventually reopen our borders to return to some semblance of normalcy, expand economic activity, bring back jobs in the tourism sector, and rebuild our fiscal reserves. Reopening will only be done in a very measured way, guided by science, in order that we not lose the gains that we fought so hard to make and made over the past year. You know, an extremely important component in the reopening of the country is that we must be able to attract investors and businesses that will take a huge dose of confidence. That will take a huge dose of confidence in the new government, not only to instill the distrust, but to also get it right. As a country, we must embrace new opportunities, upskill our workforce, and look ahead. In fact, as a people, we may very well need to adjust our respective apertures and not be myopic if we are not only to prosper, but to continue to lead the Caribbean and be attractive to other jurisdictions. We cannot afford to either pivot to the past or ignore the future. The Progressives and our alliance team partners recognize that Cayman's track record is one of the best in the world, and should COVID continue to be a threat to global travel, rest assured that this government will continue to provide support to the most vulnerable in our communities. The government will need to provide a balanced response to ensure that this support will remain available while maintaining financial stability for the country. I bring my experience as a former managing partner of one of the big four accounting firms to provide prudent fiscal guidance through the difficult years that lie ahead, and I can assure you that this is not the time for learning on the job. Ladies and gentlemen, once we safely reopen our borders and have our economy safely on the path to recovery, we will quickly map out a plan to rebuild the finances of this country. And I am confident that with the right team in place, we can do it. This cannot be done alone. I will need an experienced team that I trust and I know works and will work together, that we can work in synergy to execute this plan across all ministries. With the Progressives and the Alliance team, you are getting an unprecedented 10 out of 12 of our members that already have government experience, either as ministers or councillors, and are ready to hit the ground running. In short, the Alliance team has a proven track record of performance, and we have the most experience of anyone who wants to call themselves a team in this election. There is no one that can match our stature and experience who is involved in this election in this term. I'm going to brag a little bit now tonight about our team. Bear with me as I proudly exclaim the virtues and accomplishments of my running mates tonight. I certainly don't have to tell anyone in Bordentown what an amazing man and what amazing job that John did in his leadership role in the Ministry of Health as he helped guide us through the darkest days of the pandemic. His cooperation, calm and strong faith provided a much needed bolster to our pandemic efforts. Alva Saku has previous experience as a councillor in the Ministries of Home Affairs, Health, Sports, Youth, Culture, Community Affairs, and E-Government. Alva has years of government experience, and it is wonderful to have him back with us tonight. Minister Moses Kokonnell and his councillor David White, they broke all existing arrival records for year after year for tourism, right up until the pandemic struck. Minister Juliana O'Connor Connolly, with the support of Councillor Barbara Connolly, put education not only on the forward track, but as a priority for the future. Minister Joey Hugh provided unprecedented support to the small business sector, launched our Small Island Initiative, and is steadily improving our highways and byways to ease traffic congestion, not only for now, but also to address future population growth. Councillor Austin Harris was a councillor for Employment, Border Control and Community Affairs, providing support to the Premier and was superb in this role. Frank Cornwall was a political assistant to the Premier and as such has an in-depth knowledge of how government works and how to get things done. He has been a sterling community liaison person for the Premier. Our newest candidate this evening is Vincent Frederick of Bordentown, up west, who brings with him over 30 years of experience in the private sector as a human resources manager. Needing no introduction is our esteemed Premier, the Honourable Alden McLaughlin. He not only did a superb job protecting the Cayman Islands against the dark threat of the pandemic, but he readily took the helm to steer us through the difficulties he knew were surely coming in order to safeguard the lives of Caymanians. And on a very personal note for me, I am both delighted and fortunate that he has agreed to run again and continue not only to support me as Premier, but to contribute sage advice to the government of the country. And last, but I hope certainly not least, is yours truly, your Minister of Finance and Economic Development. In this role, I have done my absolute best to keep Cayman's finances not only healthy through the crisis, but as it turns out, we are widely regarded as the best performing economy in the Caribbean region. And I have to say, without shame we are certainly one of the best performing economies in the world for our demographic. Following such a difficult time, both here in Cayman and globally, I cannot express to you tonight how proud and honored I am to have been chosen to lead this great team of experienced, strong, honest, and committed Caymanians who have already shown that they have the will to keep these beloved islands moving forward for a safe and secure future. Let me remind you all again that in my many years of experience in the private sector, and especially in the past 4 years in government, that the next 4 years is no time to gamble on Cayman's future. Tonight, we are under the third wave of the pandemic globally, particularly in Europe. Under constant regulatory backlash from the EU, we have to restart our tourism economy and continue to attract investment, and do all this without raising taxes. This is no time for inexperienced or those that offer only criticism. I remind you tonight that criticism is not a strategy, and it is never a solution. I don't need to remind you tonight who it is that is doing the criticizing. You hear them and you know them. On the other hand, the Alliance team is ready. We are able and are already fully immersed in what needs to be done to continue to lift the Cayman Islands to new heights. I believe tonight that we have the experience and the resolve to execute a sound plan, not only to restore growth, but to build on past successes once we are elected to office on April 14. So who are you going to vote for on April 14th? The Alliance. It's not about the progressives, it's about the Alliance tonight. We want you to vote for the Alliance members. That includes the progressives. But remember also to vote for your candidate here in Newlands, Alva Saku, and in Bordentown, Vincent, Frederick, and John Seymour. They together, we will work. We will do great things to put Cayman back on track and to deliver for the people of the Cayman Islands. I thank you all once again. We appreciate your support. And remember, on April 14th, vote for Progressives and the Alliance team. In Bordentown, John and Vincent. In Newlands, Alva Saku. Thank you, everyone. Loved your attention. You've been a great audience. Please remember us on April 14th. Thank you.
Mark Tigard, you certainly made a premier introduction this evening to say that you can handle that post. I want to touch back on Mr. Panton a little bit because I need to tell you about him. About 6 years ago, the Liquor License Board called me from Breakers. I was underneath one coconut tree getting some breeze and asked me to come down to the glass house. I went down, me and a couple more Caymanians, and then there was Mr. Wayne Panton. He said we had a liquor license crisis in Cayman. I didn't understand what we were talking about. I didn't send about a drop when I was coming down. He said that people needed licenses. I said, Mr. Panton, if they're Caymanians, I don't have no problem with it. But you have to protect those that are in the industry. Whenever you pass a law or legislation, the first thing you must do is take care of your people. What are you going to do? He said, I'm opening it up. I'm opening it up. I say you are going to put the Caymanian businesses in jeopardy. He said, I don't care which Caymanians fall through the crack. Those that fall through, and those that survive, survive. Let the chips fall where they may. And that's exactly what he done. He opened up this whole place with liquor license. Savannah got 3. Never had one before. Every foul group in this country had a liquor license. You know what happened? He swapped the little Caymanian businesses that didn't have the resources to fight against the foreigners that 10 and 12 were getting together and building big restaurants in these islands. Today, as I stand here, and as a young teenager, when I went to West Bay to visit my family, I stopped by Joanna's to get a little Miller's Light. And today that is closed because he surrounded them and swapped them with liquor license. Every corner in the Cayman Islands, he issued a liquor license without thinking about the Caymanian people that were in business. And he wants to come back and represent you again? Who's he working for? When you go to Georgetown again, you come from Lobster Pot to West Bay Beach and tell me how many Caymanian restaurants you have there. I have nothing against the foreigners. But as Mr. Isaac Rankin says in East End, Caymanians must come first. You can't find no more than about 5 Caymanian restaurants from Lobster Pot to West Bay. Because you have every dog and puppy, everybody that came in here on one old canoe, applied for one liquor license, he gave it to them. And the Caymanians are pleading. Here out there pleading for help. And they can't get it. And they're closing their shop because of weed. Because of weed. Smaller businesses in any country contribute more than one big business. The domino effect it has. The locals that it employ. But yet, anybody that came anyways with one brown paper bag, you give me a liquor license? Which country in the world you think I could go to Jamaica and walk in there and get one? You think I will go to Miami and get one? I may be able to get one Budweiser, but I won't be able to sell it one. But he gave it to everybody that applied. And that's who wants to come back to represent you again? I was down West Bay the other day, and I heard a lady said, you hear Mr. Panton on the radio? He sounds so smooth. And he know every road in Newlands. That's true. He probably is. He probably walked out 2 pairs of shoes to try to get back in. But they tell you smooth waters run deep. Don't make him fool you. When he get back in there again, he gonna do the same thing. He gonna do the same thing. That nice, calm voice. Oh, I love you so much. But running Caymanians out of business. Run them out the door, run them out the door, run them out the door. And you won't want him back in? Dog will eat your supper if you do that. I'm going to touch him up a little bit later on too. Don't forget about him, man. Now, I want to call Mr. John McLaughlin to the stage to endorse Mr. Saku. Mr. McLaughlin.
Good night, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everyone is having a blessed and good week. I'm John McLaughlin Jr., a resident here in New Orleans, born and raised in the Cayman Islands. Sorry. Okay, thank you. I want to start off with thanking Mr. Alva for granting me this opportunity to speak with everyone today. I want this speech to be a motivation for the young community to vote because your vote counts. And I believe Mr. Al is the ideal candidate to carry us as a community for a brighter future. He understands our struggle, especially with unemployment. He's heavily involved with the youth of the community, and I believe his vision is perfect for us to make a better future. I've experienced unemployment during my lifetime, and it can be emotionally draining and weary on the mental state. Not only can it damage your motivation, but it can have a huge effect on your life. When I met Mr. Suku, we held a pleasant conversation about various subjects which included unemployment, the community, and the view on youth. During this time, he explained his vision, his plan, and ideas for the community in Cayman Islands. He's a very genuine person and honest. And he's also a well-respected individual in the community, and I can say I look up to him. I confidently can place my trust in him, and you can too. I would like to stress the importance of voting. Not only is it important for us in the present, but this will also have an impact on our future, for our kids and future generations to come. I'm a father of a loving and beautiful daughter, and I would do anything to be right by her side, hence why I am voting. I would love a future where my daughter is safe and secure, education is more well-structured, and the youth is receiving more support to achieve a career that will mold them into a professional for the future society, and our community is working happily and secured with income. As a young Caymanian, I believe we hold the future in our hands because we are the future of everything. Future politicians, firefighters, doctors, accountants, electricians, and administrators, to name a few. If we take initiative for change, we can make it happen with the upcoming election by voting and making the right choice. I hope by the end of this speech, I have inspired a lot of people about the importance of this election. So please do what's right and vote. This starts with us now, so vote. I am John McLaughlin, the present and the future for many things to come. Thank you and good night. God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. Very brilliant young man, the future of the Cayman Islands. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Richard Christian to introduce Mr. Alva Saku. Mr. Christian.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Newlands. Come on, let's make some noise. Let me hear those horns. All right, all right. Well, I'm honored and I'm thankful to also give this endorsement for Alva. You know, it's someone I admire a lot and respect a lot, and it's my honor to stand here before you and say why I endorse him. And I'm going to start off and just tell you, when Alva first ran in 2013, I didn't vote for him. And I didn't vote for him because I didn't really know him that well. I mean, Cayman is small, right? We know everyone, but I didn't know the man. But I must say, after that first term in office, Alva proved himself to me. I saw how he stood up, and represented the country. I saw the debates, the motions he passed. I saw how he carried himself in the House and in public. I saw what he did in the Bordentown area. And over time, he won me over. And in 2017, Al gave me a call, and he asked me to endorse him the first time then. And I didn't just stand up and say, yeah, I'm going to endorse you. Me and Al had a great conversation. We talked about life. We talked about the country. We talked about the future and different things. And having that conversation, and as I said, over the last 4 years, from 2013 to 2017, seeing what Alva had done, I had really admired him. So fast forward here now to 2021, I stand on this stage again, and I stand behind everything I say. Al has really proven himself over the last 4 years, again, in my opinion. The things he's done in the community of Newlands, the things he's done on a national level, again, the motions that he passed, the debates that he's argued, the things that he's stood for, the things that he hasn't stand for, really says a lot about the man in Al. But the real things that really stand out for me for Al is just recently I was watching a past video in the LA that was going on. It was actually between these two right here, the Premier and Al, and it was on the social mobility motion that he was passing. And when I was watching that video, it was a back and forth, debate. But what I liked about it was that Al showed me that, he's not easily intimidated. It showed me that Al is willing to stand up for what he believes in. But what I respect, if you go back and look at that video, what I respect about Al, he did it with dignity and he did it with respect. And that reminds me of a quote that I read from a lady named Nikki Haley. She was the former governor of South Carolina. She said in this game, you have to be tough, but you don't have to be disrespectful. And when I see Al, that's what I see in Al. Al is tough, and he's going to let his voice be heard, and he's going to stand for what he believes in, but he's going to do it with respect. He's going to do it with dignity. And I stand here today proud because with 3 children, I can see that my children look up to their MP with respect and dignity. Over the last 8 years in office, not that I'm aware of, but there's been no scandal. There's been no, malicious things on Al that I'm aware about. And I'm proud to call him my MP today. So another thing that really stands out, I don't know if Al, my wife can tell you, when you put me on this stage, you got to be careful. One thing that stands out, and this is the icing on the cake for me. After the election in 2017, a lot of people don't know that. It was just a select people on his committee. Actually leading up to the election, Al said to me, Richard, if I get reelected, I go in straight to the church and I want to pray. And sure enough, after Al got reelected, sure enough, he called me. It was like 11, 12 o'clock in the night. He said, let's go. And we went to a local church and we prayed and, we encouraged him and stuff like that. And ladies and gentlemen, that stands out to me because of a man of faith. It shows that he puts God first. It shows that he puts God first. And I say to you here today, without any hesitation and without no regret and apology, that the day that we start electing people who doesn't have a strong moral compass, I feel bad for K-Man. And I'm proud that, I stand behind Al because he has a moral compass. He stands for what he believes in. Whatever side of the fence you were with the civil partnership law, one thing you can give Al credit for, he stood for what he believed in. And he wasn't intimidated. And that's what we want in leaders. Leaders who's going to stand up, who are not afraid. And that's Al, ladies and gentlemen. He's proven over the last 8 years, again, by the debates he's made, the arguments he's argued. He's represented on a local level, national level, international level. And ladies and gentlemen, I've never heard about an occupation where you fire people for doing a great job. And Al has done a great job. He's done the best he could do. And I can say, ladies and gentlemen, give him another 4 years. Another 4 years. And I know there's a lot of, debates right now on the decision he's made to join the alliance. I personally was fine with it with Al. I told him when he consulted with me that I was okay with it. And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, there's only one reasonable explanation and argument for that. Al was part of the independent group that formed, that was together in 2017. And nothing happened out of that group. We had an opposition leader that fell through. Ladies and gentlemen, I am not here standing on this stage telling you that the progressives and the unity government were perfect and they got everything right. But what I can tell you is that they're an organized group, they're a structured group, and in everyone's life, we want stability, we want structure, we want organization. I'm sure many of you have been in jobs where you're frustrated because of disorganization. No one has a home, or wants a home, I should say, that's disorganized. We all need structure. And ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I'm going to be honest. There's no other group, team, or party out there that we can rely on as a nation right now. So without further ado, I support Al. I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, give him your support. Give him another 4 years. I can only go as so far with my endorsement and my circle of influence. It's up to you to knock on doors. It's up to you to make calls. It's up to you to touch people and say, let's give Al another 4 years. So ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you, come on, let's make some noise for Alva Saku.
Life, it's a journey.
Good evening, Newlands. Just want to say thank you all for coming out tonight. And I am a little bit overcome by all the faces I see in front of me. And I just want to start off before I forget and get too deep into this by thanking these wonderful people you see in this front row, my committee, and there's some more floating around. But without them, we couldn't have pulled this off. I also want to say a special happy birthday to my oldest daughter, Janelle. I won't say how old she is today, but today is her birthday, so happy birthday, Janelle. Folks, I don't think I've ever done this publicly, but I want to take a few minutes and ask you to join me. And I'm going to do this on behalf of the constituency in Newlands, Grand Cayman. I want to especially thank this gentleman on the stage here with me tonight. I want to thank the Honorable Premier, and the Honorable Minister of Health, I call him John Dwayne Seymour, and our future Premier and Finance Minister, the Honorable Roy McTaggart. They have led this country through this pandemic. They have saved lives, they have kept us safe, and they're now in the process of getting this economy going again. And I want you to all stand and give them a resounding round of applause for the hard work. Excellent job. I want to start off by talking about why I joined the Alliance, because that has been the topic of some conversation for quite some time, in the media and otherwise. But I wonder if many of you recall the events of the last election 4 years ago, when we went into an election, a general election, and then the country waited just about 2 weeks to find out who was going to run the country, who was going to be your government, who was going to be your cabinet, who was going to be your premier. And all of, as Vincent says, the horse trading that took place in that 2 weeks, the uncertainty that people faced in those 2 weeks. I felt bad at times because I know many of you were texting me, asking me what is going on, and I couldn't answer. I couldn't give you a straight answer because I didn't know. I personally do not believe that the next administration to lead this country forward should be formed the day after the election. I think that is disingenuous, and it is an insult to you, the voters, who vote to put people in, and then you have to wait to decide to find out who's going to be running the country, who's going to lead you. I had that on my mind in December when I sat down with the leader of the opposition and told him I wouldn't be moving forward to forming a grouping with the opposition members. I was going to stay independent because what I needed to do was to come back to Newlands and talk to you first. And that's what I did. I went door to door in this constituency. I didn't get to everybody, but I know I covered more than half. And I had that conversation with hundreds of people before I made up my mind what I was doing. And the Premier and I met in December, and we talked about it. He offered me his support. He offered me a spot on the team. And I said to him, I know my constituency. Give me some time. And that's what I did. So when you hear them talking about I'll flip-flopping, jumping ship, no, this was a well-thought-out decision. And I believe within my heart it is the best decision for this country, for me to join this alliance. The Premier, I heard that. The Premier told me he wanted to help assemble the best, brightest, strongest government to move this country forward through this pandemic. And that is what he and Mr. McTaggart are now doing. And I was honored that they asked me to be on that team. So I begged them to have a little patience with me, and they did, and they left me alone. And then I came to the point where I made my decision. And I am not shaken by the fact that I am now part of this alliance, regardless of the criticism out there. Because you know who's criticizing? Those who fear it. Someone even said to me, why don't you wait until April 15th and then just go across and join them? Would that be honest? You know that I stand for certain principles, and I am not going to just wait until the convenient time for me. I'm presenting myself to you as a member of this alliance. You have until April 14th to decide if you want like that or not. And I will take my chances with that, but I'm not going to deceive anyone and lie to anyone and present myself as something I am not. So now my opponents are out there. That didn't work. So they're out there telling people I didn't do anything for 4 years. Well, let me just start off by saying something. You all remember the term 2013 to 2017 when Bordentown had 2 ministers in cabinet. They had Osborne Borden and Wayne Panton. What did you all get from that here in Newlands? Nothing. In the last 4 years, working from the opposition bench, I have delivered more for this constituency than the 2 of them did combined as ministers in cabinet. And I did that with the help of the people behind me and the unity government. I was in opposition. You're not in the majority. Anytime I need a road paved, you know I go to talk to? Minister Hugh. Anytime I need a pothole fixed, Minister Hugh. I learned through compromise and working together that I could represent my constituency. So let's talk about some of the things I've done. In the last 4 years, we have resurfaced 16 roads in Newlands. 16. For those of you who live down in North Sound Estates, when I came into office, there was a serious problem down there with the king tide flooding, seawater coming up into people's yards and on the street, destroying vehicles. You still having that problem? It's fixed. That happened within the last 4 years. I called Minister Hugh, he came down, and he helped me get it fixed. The Newlands boat ramp. People are complaining about launching their boat, their trailers getting damaged because the crest was too high. That boat ramp has now been fixed. Again, working with the government, I got it resolved. The next step now, the parking lot is starting to sink in places. We're going to resurface that. We're going to put in CCTV cameras. We're going to put in more seats for people. And I've had a request now for public bathrooms. We'll have to look at that. But that has been addressed. The hurricane shelter. How many of you know where the closest Cat 5 capable hurricane shelter is from here? The closest one is Clifton Hunter High School. All the way Frank Sound. What is being done now? The Church of God building is being completed. The contract has been signed. The work is being done. Thank you, Minister Seymour, for standing with me to get that done for this district. Now I don't have to worry about where my people are in the middle of a hurricane. COVID, all through the lockdown, me and Mr. Eden, working together. We managed to feed, I think on average, it was like 40 families a day, working with the PTA at the Joanna Clark Primary School. We provided 25 brand new laptops for young people through donations from people in this community and from our own pockets, helping young people stay in school, continue learning during the lockdown. But they say I wasn't anywhere around. Minister Seymour regularly calling me, asking me if I need masks, PPE, sanitizer, whatever we needed. We had the support. Street lights. How many of you have seen the improvement in street lights all around this community? Working with the CSOs, the community police, we've made this community safer. Speed bumps, I'm getting complaints now, we got too many. They're all over the place. Drains. How many drains have been put in? Right up the corner there on Rackley, where it intersects with Southward. That became a swimming pool because of all the development in that area. That has been addressed. There have been drains put in all over. But I hear them going around talking about we need more drains. And that reminds me of something. Because in working with the NRA engineers, what we've discovered is that some places in Newlands are so low-lying, drains don't work. Water comes up through the drain, not go down. So it ends up flooding the area worse than ever. What we have done is engage NRA engineers. We're looking at a more holistic, regional sort of area flood management plan. That plan is in the works because I have consistently worked with Minister Hugh. He's promised me that we're going to have a solution, but we need to be here to complete it. Because all I hear these dudes talking about is more drains. And drains are not the solution in most of these low-lying areas. It's not going to work. The parks. Again, I hear them going around saying that they're going to fix up parks. They're going to build playgrounds and all sorts of stuff. In the LPP parcels, in the different developments that are all private property, they're going to spend public funds on parks. That's a call for the Auditor General to write a report. That's what that is. They do not understand how this works. You cannot spend public funds on a private piece of property. So what I did, met with Frank Hall, asked him if he would transfer those properties over to government. The first one is now being done. That's how you fix that problem. You don't go around telling people you're going to spend government money on private property. But then I hear one of my opponents, Mr. Panton, talking about he's going to fix up that area over there. And I want to tell you something about that, a little story on that. that Jackson Wall site is owned by the National Trust. I met with them in February, wrote them a letter, and I have a copy of it here. I'm not going to read it because I've run out of time, but asked them to convert that into a tourist attraction, fix it up, plant some trees, plant some benches, make the place more accessible to the residents. Somehow Mr. Panton got a hold of that letter, and you all see the constructive work that's being done there now. He has planted trees. He's created what he calls the Jackson Wall Park. Now, he's running on the platform of integrity, but he took my idea and put it in over there just to make me look bad. But you know, in his haste to do that, you know what he was doing? Vibrating the wall. Now I hear somebody complaining that it may have been damaged. I hope it hasn't, for his sake. But that's the expediency to get rid of me. Folks, I have just worked with the CSOs to put in children playing signs in most of the busy neighborhoods. We have purchased neighborhood watch signs, put those up all over the place in our effort to make this community safer. Internationally, and they say I didn't do anything, the Premier took me to the UK with him as part of his negotiating team. We now have an amended constitution, a new constitution that gives the government of this country full autonomy for domestic matters. There's a lot of other things that were changed too, but I had the opportunity to work with the Premier on that, to travel overseas and represent this country at that level. I know I'm getting signal that I'm taking too long, so I'm going to have to wrap up. But you heard Minister McTaggart talk about all of the issues facing this country. The next 2 years are going to be our most challenging ever. I know, based on a little preview I got of our Alliance Manifesto, which will be released on Saturday, this alliance has taken into consideration the things that I want to do, the things that all the members want to do, the ideas that have come from our constituencies, put them together in a manifesto for us to deliver together, working together for this country. I don't have to make any excuses or provide any slick answers for why I have joined this alliance. Look around you and tell me which other group out there is organized and ready to lead this country. Most of them are out there fighting over who's going to be the next Premier. They don't even know who their leader is going to be. We know who our leader is going to be. We know who is going to be in cabinet. There's no uncertainty there, folks. The day after election, I can go home and get some rest. I don't have to wait 2 weeks to find out where I'm going to be. And I can tell you one thing. I'll ask you a question. Do you all want me back in the opposition, or do you want me on the government side where I can do more for you? I'm not putting down the opposition. It's a good training ground. But for an 8-year veteran, it is no place for me. I need to be where I can do the most for this country and my constituency. It's about contributing, being part of a team, working together, having a common goal, a common agenda. And all those other groups out there, all I see is them flip-flopping. They're the ones that are flip-flopping because they keep showing up to each other's meeting, endorsing each other. But one shows up at a meeting to endorse one, and when he finishes, he said, but I'm not endorsing him, though. They don't know where they are or who they are. All they're trying to do is make you believe that they know what they're doing. But I can guarantee you, the day after this next election, there's going to be even more confusion if you vote them in, because they're going to be fighting amongst each other, trying to decide who's going to be the Premier. I have no time to waste doing that. I like structure in my life. I like to work towards a goal and have a set agenda. That is where I am in my life. I don't need that kind of excitement. And I'm sure you don't need it either. So I need you all to do something for me. I need you all to look at each of the Alliance members, the progressives and the independents that are working as part of the alliance, I need you to talk to all your friends and family, near and far, and let them know that come April 14th, they need to cast their vote for stability, certainty, and control, manage development of this country, continued safety from this pandemic, education for your children, development in your communities. That is all part of the Alliance Manifesto. And you'll get a good glimpse of that. You'll get a good copy of that on Saturday night. So you can understand exactly where we're going to take this country with no guesswork involved. And before I get off the stage, I just want to touch on one little issue. You all may have seen some people coming around in these, I guess they're baby blue t-shirts. I don't know what color that is, really, it's blue. But they're working for one of my competitors. They're going to people's houses, but they're going in particular to the new voters, the people who have just come on the voters list. And they're trying to confuse them. You know what they're doing? They'll knock on your door, and when you say, boy, like Al Saku, you know what they're going to tell you? Oh, but he's part of the team. You can vote for both of them. And they're telling people to vote for two people and spoil the ballot. You know why they're doing that? Because that person would have voted for me. All these little dirty tactics are being done. The other thing they're doing, if that didn't work, they say, well, he's with us. So it doesn't matter which one you vote for. Folks, you used to play hopscotch when you were young, right? All of us know how to play that. Here's what I want you to do. Hop, skip, jump, step right down to number 4 in that ballot and put your X. Don't take any chances. Don't let anybody come and conswoggle you, especially the new voters. This is a new system. People are not used to it, and especially some of the new voters, they remember when you had 4 votes and all that sort of stuff, but they are taking advantage of that, of the confusion. They're trying to spread more. Please, I ask you, just make it simple. Just go straight down to number 4 and put your X. That's all you need to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've run out of time. We will be having more meetings, and I will be at the Alliance Manifesto launch on Saturday, and I'll have a little more to say then too. But I want to thank you all for coming out. I'm asking you again to please give me 4 more years as your representative. I think I've done enough to prove to you that I will work hard. I will stick to my principles. I will stick to the issues that you want me to put forward. And I will continue to work and represent you to the best of my ability. There are other speakers behind me, so with that, I will just say good night and thank you all for coming out. And I look forward to April 14th. Thank you.
So we ain't giving up now.
Number 4, the right experience and the best choice. That's why you should vote for him. Under Mr. Panton's watch, Western Union in this country wet his knees. You couldn't pay anything in CI. Your national currency, you couldn't pay anything in CI. You had to go around and bum US dollars to try to send $2 to your loved ones or your family away. He called me one Sunday. We talk. And I say, you are going to put this thing in a crisis. No, Tony, I can't go fix it. I say, you going to fix it? Watch it. It got so bad that you couldn't get a US dollar because supply and demand. Those people that were selling the illegal stuff were selling you $1 US for 1 CI. You're paying 20% more for it. The confusion continued and continued and continued. You know how much money goes out of this country a year? $360 million. I said to Mr. Panton, you got CIDB down there bleeding from its side. Use them to administrate the money transfer business. Give them 2%. You know what 2% would be? $7.2 million that we could have given CIDB that is bleeding down here through its side that could help the poor people and the small business country. And the banker will tell you that when you're making settlement, you think Western Union get paid every day, every night, every morning? The money is held over in the night. It's another 1% at its best. Give you about another $3 million that we, the government of the Cayman Islands, could have put in CIDB to help the small business in this country. You know what he done? He went to Jamaica and got Grace Kennedy to run Western Union. That's what he done. You think they're doing it for free? That $10 million is so far down their socks that you won't be able to see it. Exporting our money, and we couldn't spend CI. And he wants to come back here again. He wants to come back here again to export money. Grace Kennedy isn't doing this free. They're smiling to the bank. $10 million that we could be using here for the development of our small business in the Cayman Islands. I never heard about Cayman going Miami looking for anybody running the business here. Or Cayman going Jamaica running the business. We take our business and export it when we could use it here to help the Caymanians and the small businesses here in Cayman. That is what he did. Look, the next time you go to Foster's, you'll see a big Grace Kennedy sign up there. They're running Western Union now and making $10 million a year out of it. That is bad governance. It is bad. And we don't need a repeat of that. We don't need a repeat of that. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker, the man that helped keep us in safety, Mr. John Seymour, the member for Bontown East. Well done, Mr. Seymour. Thank you. Thank you for keeping us safe. Welcome to the podium.
Good evening, Newlands. Here again. I haven't been to Newlands campaigning since 2009. Long time ago. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you this evening? April 14 is almost here. Did it feel like it wouldn't come? Well, April is next week. There's so many people here. There's about 1,000 people. I can't see that well. We thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for attending this Alliance meeting and paying attention to the election process. This is very important for your children and grandchildren's future. We are still in the middle of a pandemic, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have friends, family, or neighbors in the tourism or hospitality industry, and you want them to start back working, guess what you have to do? Take the jab. Take the vaccine, ladies and gentlemen. It's just like a flu shot. It has to be renewed every year if the pandemic lasts that long, and we're sure it's looking to be that way with all that's going on around the world. Believe it or not, I am so happy to be here this evening. I did not get an opportunity to see my Newlands people in person since COVID-19 started, but I want to say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you for being so obedient and attentive during the pandemic, shopping on your day assigned, and wearing masks and social distancing when you had to. With this discipline, as a government, we were able to manage this country so much easier. And I say to you, thank you again, and give yourselves a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, today is our first anniversary of the lockdown. You remember that? And it reminds me of the decision we had to make back then to save lives. We were in the middle of a lot of unknowns. We quickly assembled all the expertise that we had here, and we communicated as best with Public Health England, CARFA, and the World Health Organization. We assembled about 12 doctors, and some comments scared us, some pacified us, but we were determined to make the right decision. The Premier said from the start, we wanted zero community spread. We started the press conferences because we knew this was a time when we needed to be in constant communication with our people. We had some real hard decisions to make, and that we did. We had the foresight to ensure the health and safety of this country was paramount, as when the depressing projections for countries around the world, we need to remember, ladies and gentlemen, it was projected that 800 people would have lost their lives based on our population in the Cayman Islands. Think about that for a minute. I looked around and realized there was no one we could bring in. The whole world was shutting down their borders, and it was scary at times, but I drew strength from Donald Rumsfeld, the former U.S. Secretary of Defense. He said, we go to war with the army we have, not the army you may want or wish to have. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the army we had, the current government, and yourselves, this is our army. Ladies and gentlemen, I ask the question, what is more important than life? What is more important than living, ladies and gentlemen? Some may have forgotten that we handled the pandemic so well that we now have 50 people running in this election to try to take us out. Because we did such a good job, they're able to run now. The Cayman Islands is a model to the world. We need to be proud. Jamaica's locking down this week. Miami has shut down some of the areas during spring break. Canada just closed their borders to the Caribbean until the 30th of April. Italy is the 6th country in the world to report 100,000 people dying. 1 year since this happened, and you, ladies and gentlemen, chose discipline over disobedience. And we have no community spread, ladies and gentlemen. COVID-19 is real, ladies and gentlemen. So the question is, who would you rather trust while we are still in the middle of a pandemic? Would you want the Minister of Air Travel or the minister that has over 1 year experience with the pandemic, never seen before in the last 100 years, and did a decent job with it in many fashions? If you choose him, that is the Minister of Air Travel, he is more likely to open up this country without a plan. Tonight, we are here mainly to shine the light on the Bordentown candidates in Bordentown East, Bordentown West, Newlands, but in particular, we are here in the Newlands area, and we must endorse Alva Sekou as your candidate of choice, ladies and gentlemen. I've known Alva for quite some time now, approximately 43 years. We were baggage boys, me and Al together, at the famous supermarket By Right. You guessed it right. We stuck closely together back then and always stayed in touch. Over the years since Al has been elected, I've watched his career, and at times some persons questioned some of the moves Al made and why he stood up for the things he did. But even from far, I understood. As I watched Al, even on the backbench, make his contributions, he was always positive and had good reason for the angle and approach he took, and voted with the government when he had to. All in all, he always paid attention to the running of this country, and he operated with pride, and he is very capable as a deputy opposition leader. I also appreciated his contribution with the negotiations with the new constitution. Ladies and gentlemen, Al Saku has so many degrees now law too, that he's decorated like a 5-star general. I spoke to Al about 3 months ago at his office, and at that time, none of us had made up our minds how we would contest this election. It was a no-brainer that the PPM coalition team was the most organized and structured, and the others were almost a waste of time because of their disorganized state. We both left with the same intention of seeking approval from our committees and our constituents. I can tell you, Newlands, your representative, along with your blessing, has made the right choice. The only organized group, and not just organized, but a full team ready to hit the ground running, and one that always put lives before money. So Alva Saku, I endorse you and wish you all the best in this coming election. I have confidence that the people of Newlands will elect you again, because they don't want to elect someone who's a part of the ministers of the frequent flyers group, along with Mr. Desperado. If you like to fly, you love to flaunt your wealth, you will be the first to reopen our country without a plan. I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, don't trust them with this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, touching on another topic, the Premier don't like when I speak before him because I always take some of his time. But I'm begging Premier for 5 minutes. So 6 years ago, because I'm going to talk about him with his 5 minutes. So 6 years ago is when the Premier and I started talking about joining his team. 6 years later, joining this coalition was the best thing that ever happened to my career and for the Bordentown East people. And ladies and gentlemen, this move helped the government and my constituency achieve great things. I was the only minister east of Prospect, and I can tell you we were not left out. And I endorse our Alliance team to take this country forward safely for the next 4 years. Give them a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, it makes no sense to putting forward all these pie-in-the-sky ideas, like some of them I hear out there, doing this and percentage off of this and that, if you have no intention of working with the government, or in case working along with only the complete team that has named a leader. Let me name a few things so we can appreciate what it means to re-elect this government. Ladies and gentlemen, $1 million additionally just added to approved support for the farmers. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to support our farmers. This includes support for the government schools and their Grow Box program. Students and parents will love this one. You know how long it was that parents lobbied for this? Our government, under Minister Juliana, guidance guided an increase in the standard scholarship award for overseas undergraduate students from $20,000 to $30,000 per student per annum. And ladies and gentlemen, we went a little further. Also, for those studying undergraduate in education related fields, an increase of $20,000 to $35,000. And ladies and gentlemen, this is because we want to encourage more Caymanians to enter the field of education. And ladies and gentlemen, we went a little further, and a top Cayman Scholar Award for 2 Caymanians each year with scholarships of $100,000 per annum, 1 male and 1 female. Ladies and gentlemen, is that progress? Ladies and gentlemen, look at what we did with the Iguana program. They brought a plan to us, this coalition government, now alliance, and we didn't like the plan. We said the plan has to include every Caymanian who wanted an opportunity to snare or color the iguana to be able to participate in that. And ladies and gentlemen, we spent $10 million in the iguana culling program, protecting our blue iguanas. And ladies and gentlemen, you know who got the $10 million? Caymanians. So they can't say that this coalition not looking out for you. So ladies and gentlemen, I say all this because this is a government that takes care of its people and at the same time puts lives before money. And you can get it. You can't get it better than that, Newlands. Can we get it better than that, Newlands? Let me tell you, when a person doesn't like you, there's nothing in the world you can do right. And I remember even at my best, I will never be right for the wrong people. But I always remember, ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of people to prove wrong. This coalition is going to do it, and we're going to win big, ladies and gentlemen, come April the 14th. We want you to vote for all the Alliance members on April the 14th. Vote the Alliance team and bring Al Saku across the line to the Victory Street. Ladies and gentlemen, while I'm stealing some time, this election should never be about money alone or who has the most money, but one about the vision in giving our children a great future with tons of opportunities. I am so proud to be a part of this team. My team and I had no reservations in joining to contest this election with the Alliance Group and the Progressive Led. Ladies and gentlemen, we are praying that your hearts appreciate all this government has done to save lives and to run a good ship. I know it's hard sometimes to get a little gift and then to vote against the person that give you a little gift. I'm telling you tonight, if you see some paper on the ground, pick it up. But you don't have to vote for them. So I'm telling you, don't feel guilty about anything. Just pray about it. And say, Lord, I need to do the right thing and vote back in the government that saved me and my family lives and managed the country finances so well that they didn't have to bow down. This government did not have to bow down to the pressures to prematurely open this country because we managed our finances so well. Thanks to Minister Roy McTaggart. We can't elect persons who come out once every 4 years acting so desperate. It's not desperation for you, ladies and gentlemen. It's desperation for themselves and their egos. Let's not make the mistake, ladies and gentlemen, and start over again. Remember the farmer's approach. Remember I talked about the farmers earlier? When you plant a tree, it takes 5 years to bear fruit, thereabout. Can you wait that long, ladies and gentlemen? I ask you, can you wait that long? Or do you want to eat from the tree that has already bearing fruit? What do you want to do? Psalms 18:2. The old scripture guy wasn't ashamed. Not at all. The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, my God, my strength, in whom I trust. Ladies and gentlemen, elect this team. Call your friends up on down east. Tell them to vote for Dwayne John Seymour. Number 2 on the ballot. Tell them to vote for Alva Saku, number 4 on the ballot. Tell them to vote for Vincent Frederick, number 1 on the ballot, Bontown West. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the best presentation by any team. This election, the only one that can take this forward in a pandemic and manage its finances. We borrowed almost $400 million and we got it parked. We got it parked. We got it parked and we got fencing around it. And we have not used $1 yet, and we won't use $1 till after the election. And we're proud of that. We're proud of how we manage the finances because we don't have to bow down to nobody in opening up our country and infecting our citizens and killing off our grandparents and mothers and fathers and children. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Thank you, and God bless you.
You can depend on me.
He certainly gave you a mouthful. Under Mr. Panton's watch, gotta touch him up a little bit again. You remember that the people that were selling those mangoes and coconuts down by 7 Mile Beach, he wanted to lock them up. They were all Caymanians. They were all Caymanians. They were trying to make an honest living. But he wanted to lock them up. When the boats were coming in and picking up hundreds of expatriates and going out to sea, he didn't arrest either one of them. He didn't arrest either one of them. What he should have done was got that Mr. Ryan that's in that trade and business office to go down there and help those Caymanians get a license. And the money that he was taking to prosecute them, he should have built some chaos for them so that they could make a living. That's what he should have done. Like this government has done. But he wanted to lock them up. Caymanians, he wanted to lock up. Go them back in again and see if he's not going to lock you up for them coconuts and mangoes you try and sell to feed your children. And lock up all of us. But Ryan was too busy in his office trying to fire Marwa Scott. Another good Caymanian. He didn't have no time to go down there. And he has this little ad on the radio, call me, I'll help you. I haven't seen him yet. I don't know who he is. I don't care who he is. But he should have went down there with those applications to help his Caymanians qualify. And the money that they were taking to prosecute the people, to build chaoses, to help them make an honest living. Now, is that serving your people? Wanting to lock them up? And you know who you can ask? I think you can hear me right over there. Mr. Raul Gonzalez. He had him arrested. He had him arrested for trying to rent a jet ski on the beach. Can you imagine that? Well, he want him go in AU? That's the kind of representation that wants to come back here doing 1,000 miles an hour? No. No. Tell him no. Tell him no. Tell him you got one number in your head and that's number 4. That's number 4. You don't want nobody that's going to arrest your children and your grandchildren, your mother and your father for trying to make a living in this country. Tell him no. That is why I'm refreshing your memory. Don't lose that before the 14th of April. Don't lose those things I tell you tonight. They're all true. And don't forget one thing. Alva Sagu number 4. Alva Saku, number 4. Alva Saku, number 4. Don't forget that. That's going to be your representative, and it's going to be on the next side of the aisle. Show them the power of the people. You imagine trying to arrest Caymanians for selling one mango and 2 green coconut? Can you imagine that? Never in the history book of Timbuktu you would hear that. I reminded you of 4 things tonight. You keep them in your mind. Tell your brother, your sister, and your uncle, and all of them, vote for the Alliance. You got an organized team. They know what they're doing, and they're going to carry Cayman forward for the next 4 years. They gave me one little list here to introduce the next speaker. My friend for 50 years, a good man, and the person that took us through this pandemic. He's not going to be in the driver's seat again, but he'll be there to give advice. Ladies and gentlemen, the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Alden McLaughlin.
My hands were steady.
Thank you. Good evening, Newlands. And good evening to all of you who are following us on Radio Cayman, on the Compass streaming, and whatever other Facebook stream that is going on. Thank you all for taking the time, joining in, and staying with us. Yes, my good friend John has taken a little of my time. But you see, I was brought up in the political sense by one Kurt Tibbetts, and Kurt usually had to speak last. So he learned that you have to adjust whatever you're going to say, depending how much time you have left. And so you learn to speak without a written speech, because you might have to stop it right in the middle if you're speaking last. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been said about the opponent, our candidate's opponent, Alva's opponent tonight. I don't intend to say very much more about any of that. And a lot has been said about Al, and I don't intend to say too much more about that either. But what I'm going to say in regard to my good friend Wayne Panton is like Brutus said of Julius Caesar, I come not to praise him, but to bury him. And let me explain what I mean by that. I have been elected 5 times. I have been through some of the roughest political times this country has ever had. I have been a part of a government that fell, that lasted only 1 year following the elections in 2000. I have been the leader of the opposition who moved the no confidence motion to bring another government down. I understand what instability in government is in a way few others in this country can do, simply because they haven't had the experience. And you know, it used to hurt me for a long time that many people didn't seem to understand how much Alden McLaughlin loves his country and his people. Because I am not the huggy, feely, kissy kind of politician. That's just not the way I am made. But I don't believe there's anybody in this country now, given what we've gone through in the last year, that doubts my love of my people and my country. And I say that to tell you this. The reason I'm standing again is only because of that love. And by the way, some of you might need a little encouragement to come join the progressives. Remember, our motto is for love of country. That's why we do what we do. But the reason I'm referring to that is I am not the party leader anymore, having handed the baton over to Roy McTaggart. And 4 weeks from yesterday, I will no longer be your premier. For certain, that is for certain. We don't know yet who the new premier is going to be, but Alden won't be that person. So I want you to understand that what I say and what I do is not because of any personal political further aspiration or ambition that I have. I took the responsibility for putting together the progressives team and putting together what we now call the alliance, because I was premier and party leader, but also because I understood, given the experiences that the country and I have had, that trying to put together a government after the elections is a recipe for a whole bunch of headaches and trouble and stress and uncertainty and instability. That was what was done following the 2000 elections. That government, which was led from November 2000 to November 2001 by the Honorable D. Kurt Tibbetts, lasted 1 year. And it lasted 1 year because the people who made up that government had not sat down in advance of the election and tried to put together a set of policies, positions, priorities that they could sign on the dotted line. This is where we want the country to go. This is our vision for the next 4 years. So you wound up with 6 or 7 different governments, this minister running off here, this one going off there, this one want to be premier, but he not premier, this one want to be deputy premier, but they're not deputy premier, and all of this infighting and carry on. That government collapsed in November 2001. And that's really what started the modern party system in Cayman. The UDP was formed the following weekend. I've been through all of that. I was a political greenhorn in those days. That's more than 20 years ago now. That's also what gave us the concept of the People's Progressive Movement. Now the party system has seen its ups and downs in Cayman. I believe we're headed up again. But sometimes you have to try things. Sometimes they don't work out. You have to be able to be prepared to compromise, to make adjustments, to make things work. But the one thing that no one could ever doubt, all through the years that the progressives have been around, is our organization, our structure, and our discipline. You know what you're going to get when we stand for election, because we tell you. That is what I wanted us to be able to do this time again. And that's why if you look at the sign, you see the little roof. It means that we are, the tent we are under is big enough and willing enough to compromise to bring a whole lot of like-minded people who care about where the country goes under that tent, even if they don't wear the red shirt. That's what the alliance is about. What you are being offered by Wayne Panton and Osborne Borden, both of whom are former members of the Progressives, is something quite different. And I said to you, I wasn't going to say a great deal about Wayne, and I am not, except to tell you this. He does not want to be part of a government involving the Progressives. I don't doubt that. I don't question that, because I spent 2.5 hours talking to him about it. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about my prodigal son in a minute, But I wanted to ensure that we had a government when the elections were over, which was capable of managing Cayman through what I believe are going to be some of its most challenging times over the course of the next 2 years in particular. Wayne is an able individual. He's a good person. I have nothing bad personally to say about him. He went to law school with me 5 years together. I know him well. Very able. But what I'm saying to you and to the country, the only reason I can figure out why Wayne will not work with this government, I thought first it was he didn't like my leadership style, because I've heard those kinds of things said about me. He didn't like the fact that we formed the government with the Honorable McKeever Bush. But I don't know who else I could form it with, because I can only work with the people that got elected, not those I wish had been elected. But then the Honorable Roy McTaggart had a meeting with him, and he still didn't want to come to work with us either. So all I can conclude from that is that he wants to be in a group where he can be the premier. And Cayman can only have one premier at a time. But the only how he can become premier is if he can convince enough of those who are running as independents to line up behind him. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a motley crew. That is not what Cayman needs in the next term. We need a group of people with proven experience, ability, with compassion, with love, who care more about the lives and welfare of our people than money. And I believe we have the track record to prove that. Now, Alva Sekou, he has been a source of so much frustration for me over the course of so many years, because he's a good man and he is smart as a cricket, but he's stubborn. Stubborn. I regard him, quite frankly, like a younger brother in many ways. And he and I have had many discussions, even when he quit the party. And I will leave him to tell you one of these days why he quit the party. I am still scratching my head to figure it out. But Al has demonstrated over the 6 years he was in the opposition the ability to address issues that concern his constituents, that will benefit not just his community, but the broader Cayman Islands. He is particularly concerned about job opportunities for Caymanians. More so than anyone I know in the House, he constantly articulates that position and the need for greater protection, greater promotion, greater opportunities for Caymanians. He cares about the downtrodden, the poor, and those who need housing and other things to help keep body and soul together. I tell you that because if you lack compassion for your people, I don't care how smart you are, you can't be a good representative. It might make you a good lawyer or a good accountant, but you can't make you a good representative. But Al has come back, and Al was a progressive member. Al understands what we stand for, what we will do. And I ask you, those of you in Newlands, give Al another 4 years. We need to build out this team that is going to lead the country over the course of the next 4 years. The Alliance is the only group that is running 12 candidates. If you can't count to 10, you can't form the government. We need all 12. I always joke about my good friends Arden and Ezard. I said, you know, those boys can count, but they can't add. Because last election, they tried to form a government from 7. I don't know when 7 ever became the majority in 19. So, ladies and gentlemen, what I want to say to you tonight, as I've said many nights, if there is a candidate running against a member of the alliance, of this you can be certain. They do not want to be part of this government. Otherwise, they wouldn't be running against a progressive candidate or an alliance candidate. So if you want this government to continue with a few changes, because of course Minister Tara Rivers has announced her retirement from politics, so there'll be a new face down there. There'll be a new face, Savannah. I still don't know which one in Savannah wants to be part of this government because they are very, very quiet. No one is telling us. But I am encouraging by this medium those who are running as independents in constituencies which are not contested by alliance members or the progressives. Please hold up your hand. Please start to tell people whether or not you are prepared to work with this government, because this is my 5 and 2 is 7. This is my 8th campaign. I did 2 with Kurt Tibbetts before I ran myself in 2000, and I've done 5, and this one is 6, so that's 8. I've done 8 campaigns, and I know when momentum is building. And when I look at the crowd that is here tonight, and I see the cars that are here, I know the Alliance train is on the way to the station. So all I'm going to say is to all of you who want to be part of the crew, she's picking up speed. You better get on before she's going too fast. Because the truth of the matter is, and some will not agree with me, but I don't want 16 people on my team, you know. I'm looking for trouble. That's too many. Make some of them go sit in the opposition. I want 14 or 15, nice, comfortable number that I don't have to worry about anybody trying to blackmail this one and that one about, if you don't support this, I can leave. If you leave, you go. We'll still be all right. But I want those who want to be part of the crew, who are standing out there, wondering, scratching your head, what are you going to do? Come home. There is a place for you under the Alliance tent. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a massive, massive meeting planned for our launch of our manifesto on Saturday night down at Kirkholme Center. You're going to be people, Jamaicans say, by the walk-ups. Plenty people, plenty cars. Tell all your friends, tell all your family. Come down to Kirkholme Center, get a copy of the Alliance Manifesto. It'll be the only national manifesto in the entire country. No matter which district you reside in, even if you're Little Cayman, you will know what the Alliance is promising to do. No other grouping out there can say that. No other grouping out there can do that. No other grouping can tell you, if you elect us, we can form the government. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue to give Cayman good, stable, compassionate government. Do not risk supporting independents who are not part of the alliance if they are running against an alliance partner. Tell all your friends and family, even they come beg you, even if he's a good friend, think about the future of your country. Think about your children. Think about your parents and your grandparents. We need to continue to keep this country safe and secure. We have to continue to rebuild the economy, get tourism back on its feet in a safe way. God bless you all for being such a wonderful audience. I want to see you all Saturday night. One love.
My hands were steady, my eyes were clear.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for coming out tonight. Newlands, remember, number 4. Cayman, remember, Alliance. Newlands, remember, number 4. You've been a great audience tonight. You've been very attentive. I want to thank you so much, and make sure to follow social media for the next meetings of the Alliance. Thank you all so much, and good night to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Seymour. Let's have it for Mr. Vincent Frederick. Yours truly is Mr. Alva Satoon.
Gonna put them back again. You must understand, to fight this virus away from our island.